Origin Unexplained.
There are things we see with our own eyes that never leave us. You don't need a photo or a witness when something is burned into your memory that clearly. I was a kid in the early 80s, riding in the car with my mother in upstate New York when I saw something I will never forget. A bird, if you want to call it that, I guess. Bigger than anything I'd ever seen in my life. Not just large, but unnatural. The wingspan stretched wider than a Cessna. It wasn't flapping, just gliding silently across the sky like it didn't belong there. I remember the shape of the beak, hooked or bent somehow, and the feeling that whatever this thing was, it was watching, not just flying. My mother saw it too, and like a lot of people back then, she didn't stop the car. She just kept driving, locked into whatever her mind was telling her made sense. But I never forgot. That moment opened a door for me, one that's never really shut. I started reading, listening, comparing, trying to find out if anyone else had seen what I saw. Turns out they had. Lots of people, in fact. And not just here in New York, but all across the Northeast. Some saw giant birds like I did, broad-winged shadows with no sound. Others described something even stranger, something that didn't look like a bird at all, but more like a flying reptile. A pterodactyl. A throwback from a world we tell ourselves is long gone. And when you really dig into these stories, you find two types of creatures showing up again and again. Two that don't belong here. Two that people keep seeing anyway. The first is what people call the thunderbird, and that is rooted in Native American tradition, but still being seen today. And this creature shows up with a wingspan that makes hawks and eagles look like gray pigeons. Black or dark gray, often completely silent and gliding low to the ground. That's what most of them appear to be. It's been reported all over the country, but especially here in the Northeast, in Pennsylvania, out on Dairy Ridge in the Chestnut Ridge region. People have seen birds so large they block out the sun. In Maine, just outside of Caratunk, a driver in 1993 watched as a massive slow flapping shadow passed overhead. Wings stretching 10 feet out from each side of the body. In parts of Massachusetts, like the Bridgewater Triangle, people talk about giant birds circling the swamp areas. I'm telling you, these things aren't myth. They're not. They're not myth anymore. There's patterns. The second kind of creature is even stranger. And these aren't just big birds. They don't have feathers, just like mine didn't. People say they have leathery wings like a bat or a flying lizard. Some have long, thin necks. Others have heads shaped like a hammer or a beak with a sharp crest sticking out the back. Well, some people describe tails thin and whip-like or ending in a spade or diamond shape. Kind of sounds like a dragon, huh? And they're not just being seen out west or out east. Right here in the Northeast, people have reported pterodactyl-looking things flying over farms, gliding across rivers, even coasting low along back roads at night. And in our case, it was a back road at night. Or not at night, but it was a back road. And, well, it is farmland. But if you were that big, you'd probably want to eat an entire cow too, right? These aren't just confused owls. They're detailed and consistent. Some folks say what I saw back in '82 might have been one of them. And maybe it was. I just know it was not normal. And I'm not alone. Across the decades, the reports keep coming in. Same shapes, same wingspan, same eerie feeling that you're looking at something that shouldn't even exist. But here's the thing. Not everything with wings is a thunderbird. And the photos, the one with the barn, the one with the soldiers, that wasn't a thunderbird. And that's exactly what I saw. Not by how the original stories describe them, at least. Those creatures, if they were real, looked more like something ancient, prehistoric. Leathery wings, reptilian heads, kind of. No feathers. They look like pterodactyls, like something that slipped through a tear in time. A thunderbird, in contrast, has always been described as a bird, and a bird it is. Massive, yes. Wingspan wider than a car, yes. And strong enough to carry off a deer or children, and some tales, well, let me tell you, the thing I saw could have too, but still feathered, still grounded in what we know, even if it defies the limits of what should be. Native traditions describe it as sacred, a powerful skybound guardian that brings thunder with the beat of its wings and lightning flashing from its eyes. It's spiritual, elemental, and in some versions, it's not a predator. It's a protector. So when people lump those old photographs in with the Thunderbird lore, they're mixing two different beasts here. The bird in the tribal stories is not the legendary, leathery, winged thing hanging limp in those black and white memories. That thing, that's something else entirely. And that thing looks like what I saw. It didn't look like a bird. It didn't move like one. There were no feathers, no familiar shape to its body, just those wide bat-like wings and that crooked, elbowed neck. The way the back of its head dropped off, that way it glided, so it silently went across the sky. It matched the thing in that photo. Not the Thunderbird, not the guardian spirit of old tribal lore. This was something else, something colder, more ancient, like it had slipped through a crack in the sky from a time we were never meant to see again. But I didn't want to say it was a pterodactyl back then. I didn't even know what it really was. I did, but from Land of the Lost, but still, who the hell would expect to see something like that, It wasn't a crane, I can tell you that. It wasn't a hawk, and it wasn't an eagle. But looking back, that's exactly what it looked like. Not just in shape, but in presence. That quiet, unnatural flight, that sense that something was watching, not like a bird sizing up prey, but like something intelligent trying to stay unseen. But it was a little bit too big. So I can tell you that people around here have claimed that there is something here. Hunters, for example, over in Mohawk have seen stuff that they can't really explain. They don't go into detail as to what it looked like. I'm sure there's more than one, right? And these large nests, as big as they are, a few bear could cuddle up in it, and I'm talking grizzly-sized. Yeah, this thing was absolutely amazing looking. It looked like if you were to watch a movie from prehistoric times. So when people argue about whether that old soldier photo was real or fake, I don't care because I saw it. Maybe not that exact one, but something like it, definitely. And I'm telling you right now, if those men really posed with that thing nailed to the wall, then I know exactly what they were holding. And I'm not the only one. June 8th of 1971, Smet Hollow, Pennsylvania, two women, Linda Edwards and Debbie Kraft, see a creature with an 18-foot wingspan flying low, slow over the trees. Now, I can never figure out how they know exactly how wide something is by feet and stuff because I couldn't begin to tell you. As high up as ours was, it was over the trees quite a ways, but huge. There's no way I could tell you what its wingspan was unless I had, some sort of measuring instrument and it was on the ground. Or on a building, I could guesstimate. The air shifts as it moves. That's what they said. One of them says later, it didn't feel right. The sky got quiet. That's not just a bird. September 25th, 2001, Route 119 in South Greensburg, Pennsylvania, that is. A teenager driving at night hears a sound that sounds kind of like flags snapping in the wind or slapping. He looks up and sees a black wing shape with a 3-foot head and a wingspan stretching across the width of the road. The thing lands on a dead tree and the whole trunk sags. He keeps driving. He doesn't look back. In 1969, Kettle Creek, Clayton County, a bird so big it lifts a fawn off the ground and flies off with it. Witnesses include road crew workers and a woman married to the county sheriff. These aren't blurry photos or third-hand rumors, These are people with names, people who saw what they saw. In Chautauqua, I can't even say it, guys, and I live in New York. Chautauqua. Well, let's just say in New York. My old man could say it, not me. Mid-20th century, a farmer sees something fly across his field. No sound, no known species. He tells the paper it spooked the livestock. He doesn't call it a thunderbird, he just calls it big. And in Lawndale, Illinois, July 25th of 77, a 10-year-old boy named Marlon Lowe is picked up by a giant bird. It grabs his shirt with its talons, lifts him off the ground, and carries him 30 feet before dropping him. His mother sees the whole thing. The police take the report. Well, the family's mocked, but the story never goes away because it did happen. And now after everything we've wandered through, my own 1982 sighting, the stories of giant winged beasts in the Northeast and beyond the weird photographs and the missing pieces, well, we come to this. What do we make of it? Maybe what I saw was one of those leathery winged creatures that don't belong here. Bat wings, crook in the neck, the head shaped with a weird thing behind the back of its head, crooked beak. Maybe it was a younger relative of the Thunderbird type creatures. I don't think so. Or maybe it was something else entirely, lost at time or slipped in from beyond. Whatever it was, one thing remains clear. The sky doesn't always adhere to our understanding, and when something huge glides silently across the horizon, and when it moves with confidence and no explanation, we're forced to ask, who's really watching? For you listening out there, the invitation is simple. Keep your eyes open. I know in today's day and age, it's a bit more different than it was in 82. For all we know, it could be a drone. It could be something we don't know. But back then, I'm telling you, that thing was real. But keep your eyes open. Not for proof. Not for certainty. But for astonishment. Because sometimes the most important truth is the one that refuses to fit neatly in our knowing. Stay curious. Don't be a deadbeat and say, oh, only if science says, because at one time science didn't know shit. Stay alert. And when you next look up into the night and see something that doesn't belong, spare more than a glance. Listen to what your memory holds, because what you saw might just be what others don't want you to. This is another episode of Origin Unexplained. If you have a story you would like told or you'd like to be in the podcast, email us at originunexplained@gmail.com. Make sure you look right there above how to spell unexplained. That's UNX, no E, PLAINED @gmail.com.
Origin Unexplained.